Oh, hey neighbors, I didn't see you there. Welcome to my neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in Kentucky, and there are so many good things going on. People are living better lives, people are getting healthier, thanks to Dr. Stack and that healthy Kentucky home. With so many good things going on, it's important that we share. During tough times, that we're there for each other, and that we always live out our faith and our values. And kids, there's an important night coming up called Halloween. That's when we dress up and pretend to be spooky things, but remember to be kind to each other during it. And make sure, whether you are one of those big kids or small ones, that you are safe on Halloween night in your neighborhood. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy. Welcome to my neighborhood and this week's Team Kentucky Update. We're going to start today's Team Kentucky Update where we always start, with Kentucky's record-breaking economy. Since the beginning of my administration, we've announced more than 1,200 private sector new location and expansion projects totaling over $43 billion in new investment and creating more than 63,600 new jobs. In fact, this month alone, we've announced 440 new jobs through $65.7 million in new investment, and we're not done yet. Adding fuel to that momentum, there are several new projects approved just this morning by the Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority. This morning, 7 prospective new location and expansion projects in 5 counties were approved for performance-based tax incentives totaling $76.9 million in new state investment, with 317 full-time jobs announced across the Commonwealth. Today's approvals include Advanced Ready Mix Concrete in Jefferson County, Glove Safe Opco in Jefferson County, Toyota Boshuku in Marion County, Midwest Equipment Manufacturing in Mason County, C&G Motorsport in Scott County, Pan Austin Co. in Warren County, and Packsize LLC in Jefferson County. That would bring our year-to-date announcements to 4,300 new jobs and more than $5.9 billion in new investment. In addition to these new projects, we also have exciting updates to share. Today, Kinemetrics, a leader in robotic automation and advanced manufacturing solutions, celebrated the ribbon cutting on its newly expanded manufacturing operation in Lexington. That's a $4 million investment, creating 12 quality jobs. This expansion will support our growing EV sector and add high-quality jobs to the Lexington area. I want to thank the company's leadership for their commitment to the Commonwealth, and we look forward to more expansions in the future. Next, we have an update on steps Team Kentucky is taking to protect our kids from dangerous predators. As a dad, I believe our most sacred responsibility is to care for and support Kentucky's children. Our children are our most precious gifts, so we must do everything we can to protect them. As we all know, this generation of kids is more online than any generation before them. It's important we teach kids, parents, and caregivers about online safety. That's why the Kentucky State Police Electronic Crime Branch partnered with Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky to produce a series of videos giving parents tips on how to keep their kids safe online. These videos provide practical advice that will help prevent children from seeing content or interacting with individuals that they shouldn't. There are 10 videos on Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky's website under the Resource tab, and all 10 can be viewed in less than 45 minutes. The Kentucky State Police and our local law enforcement agencies have also been working vigilantly to bring child predators to justice. As Attorney General, my office did more child predators, prosecuted more, incarcerated more than any administration before, and I believe since. And we've carried that priority over into my term as governor. I'm proud to announce that since I became governor in 2019, the Kentucky State Police has now arrested 474 online predators for internet-related crimes against Kentucky's children. That includes child pornography, online enticement, child sex trafficking, child exploitation, and the production and distribution of explicit materials involving minors. This month alone, the KSP Electronic Crime Branch made 3 major arrests. First, on October 4th, they made an arrest in Logan County on charges related to child sexual abuse material. This was part of an undercover Internet Crimes Against Children investigation. On October 20th, KSP arrested an individual in Clark County on similar charges as part of an undercover investigation. And on October 28th, KSP arrested someone in Pike County on charges related to child sexual abuse material as a part of an undercover investigation. Our message is clear. If you prey on children online or in person, we will find you, we will arrest you, we will incarcerate you. Because we want to keep every one of Kentucky's children safe, we will not stop until we find you. This work will continue so that every kid can grow up healthy, happy, and safe. And remember, everyone, if you see something, say something. It is your legal duty to report child abuse, but if you just see something that's wrong, make sure you make a call. It takes all of us working together to protect every single child in our state. Next, we have some funding announcements to make. These funds are from Kentucky's Community Development Block Grant Program. These dollars take a financial burden off our local governments. Every dollar we announce today is one that our communities won't have to spend from their own budgets. So to start off, we've got good news for Maysville. Maysville is planning to replace around 40,000 feet of water line along US 68 to improve water pressure. We're committing $1.2 million to help the city make that project happen. For the next award, we stay in Mason County. The Mason County Fiscal Court is replacing an old water tank. The new tank is going to increase storage capacity, setting Mason County up for more development in the future. We're helping them by committing over $1 million for the project, and the project will help over 2,000 Kentuckians. We have a video from Mason County Judge Executive Owen McNeil about the project.
This is Mason County Judge Executive Owen McNeil, and I'd like to say thank you to Governor Beshear and our state legislators for their award of our Western Lewis-Rectorville Water and Gas Expansion Project. This project will triple the available water capacity to the citizens they serve here in eastern Mason County, with some stretching over into Lewis County. If anything, that's the highlight of our DLG's Community Development Block Grant Program and Governor Beshear's administration, in that constituents and citizens matter, not imaginary county lines. These funds will be utilized to help build a new $2.5 million 300,000-gallon water tank here at the Western Lewis-Rectorville Water and Gas offices in Mason County, and will continue to help expand our community. On behalf of Western Lewis-Rectorville's Director Chad Clark, our friends at Buffalo Trace Area Development District, the Department of Local Government, and the citizens of Mason County, let me say thank you for these grant funds as the state's Community Development Block Grant Program continues to help build and restore our Commonwealth's infrastructure.
Our last CDBG award today is for Montgomery County. The Fiscal Court is partnering with their industrial authority to purchase equipment to lease to RIP Technologies in Mount Sterling. This company invested over $4 million to move their operations from Miami, Florida to Mount Sterling. They now employ nearly 30 Kentuckians. RIP Technologies helps print and frame artwork by independent artists, and they sell their works on sites like Amazon. Artists can manage their business from RIP Technologies' platform, Artello. They're seeing more demand for their services, which is great. And so we're committing $700,000 to help Montgomery County and the Industrial Authority build on their momentum. I believe we may have the CEO of RIP Technologies with us next week, so he can tell you firsthand on how his company is growing in Kentucky. These projects are moving our state forward. It's investment in our infrastructure, in our people, and in our future. Now for an update on our Pre-K for All initiative. My goal as governor is to build a better Kentucky for every person who lives in our Commonwealth. I'm proud of what we've accomplished so far. Together, we've created more jobs and brought in more investment than any other administration in history. We've broken our exports and our tourism records. My goal is to keep that momentum going. especially when it comes to creating opportunities for our kids to reach their dreams right here at home. I think about how if we can just help one generation, one full generation of Kentucky kids be as successful as they can, how much further our Commonwealth can go. To do that, we're starting with the single most effective way to set our children and our state up for success, and that's by advocating for pre-K for all, for every Kentucky 4-year-old. Every child deserves a good start. Proverbs says, start children off the way they should go, and even when they're old, they will not turn from it. In addition to our kids, pre-K for all would help our parents, caregivers, businesses, our workforce, and our economy. Pre-K for all will increase kindergarten readiness, where sadly our state is failing. It'll boost parents' earnings by nearly $9,000 per year. That continues for 6 years. That's $54,000 that our families could have that they don't currently have to get through some of these tough times. It'll help our Kentucky workforce grow by up to 70,000 people to help our economy thrive. It is a win for everyone. And it feels even more urgent now as many of our families continue to struggle to make ends meet. We must help them, and pre-K for all can do that by keeping more of their hard-earned dollars in their pockets. To make this happen, in June, I issued an executive order launching pre-K for all and creating the advisory committee. This committee is made up of leaders from the business community, like Scott Davis, who is chair of the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, and leaders in education like Robbie Fletcher, our education commissioner. In the last 4 months, the Pre-K for All Advisory Committee has held 5 town halls and more than 50 outreach events across the Commonwealth. We brought these town halls to the people because we want the Pre-K for All plan not to be my plan, but the Commonwealth's plan. Folks came like Sanford Holbrook, the superintendent of Robertson County, who shared our kids aren't as prepared for school as they should be when they entered kindergarten. Like Mark Watkins, a parent in Frankfort who's struggling to afford childcare, paying over $10,000 a year, and that's if he can even find childcare options to begin with. And business leaders like Candace McGraw, former CEO of CVG and former chair of the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. She said our state is positioned to compete nationally, but to do that, we've got to take the right steps, including Pre-K for All. From these events and additional research from other states, the committee was charged with taking their findings to form a recommendation on how we could improve early childhood education in Kentucky. Yesterday, the committee met to review, approve, and issue their report. And today I'm pleased to announce that I've received the report with the final recommendations, which we will share now. To do that, I'm inviting up Sam Flynn, the Executive Director of our Pre-K for All initiative.
Thank you, Governor. I want to thank you for your leadership on this issue, and I want to thank our committee members, some of whom are here today in the room with us, and our staff advisors and our team for their tireless work the last several months. In all, as the Governor mentioned, our committee held 5 town halls and 54 outreach events. We've met with dozens of local leaders, educators, parents, child care providers, businesses and business owners, and state legislators. We looked at scholarly research and data from across the country, and we found a number of things. First, in Kentucky, the majority of our kids are not kindergarten ready on day 1. According to a legislative report, Kentucky kids who attend pre-K are more kindergarten ready already in Kentucky than those who do not attend any formal setting. Pre-K is not new. We've had a pre-K program since 1990. It has been expanded twice under both a Republican governor, Governor Fletcher, and a Democratic governor, Governor Steve Beshear. But only currently 27% of our kids at the age of 4 have access to pre-K. The data showed that due to current legal eligibility and the requirements for this program, a child of a single mom who makes $17 an hour does not qualify for pre-K in Kentucky because she makes too much money. Parents are also paying up to 13% of their take-home pay for childcare if they can find it and if they can afford it. And as the governor mentioned, between 40 and 70,000 Kentuckians, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, would return to work but for access to child care. The committee also looked at other states who have expanded preschool access, states like Alabama, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Georgia. We reviewed the data and research from those states and areas, and our committee saw a very different story. In Oklahoma, kids that attend preschool scored 26% better on their kindergarten readiness assessment test than those who did not. In Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, and Iowa, kids that attended preschool were better readers and mathematicians in 3rd grade, in 6th grade, and in 8th grade than those who didn't. Kids were 8% less likely to be held back if they attended preschool. In Alabama, kids that attended pre-K were less likely to have disciplinary issues. Kids that attended pre-K were less likely to be absent from school. In Boston, kids that attended pre-K were 6% more likely to graduate from high school, and in Oklahoma, they were 12% more likely to enroll in college. Kids that attended preschool beyond just the educational benefits were more likely to report having health insurance as adults. They were less likely to report having drug addiction. They were less likely to report being arrested. Parents of kids who attended preschool were more likely to report working a job, more likely to report working one job rather than two, less likely to change career paths. Parents saw an increase in pay up to 21%, in some cases as high as $9,000 a year. And parents also saw persistence in those earnings over 6 years. Communities saw benefits as well. In other states, the return is upwards of 10 to 1 for larger expansions of pre-K. To bring that home to Kentucky, in 2009, the University of Kentucky did a study showing just a modest increase from 160% of the federal poverty line to 200% of the federal poverty line for eligibility would yield a 5 to 1 return on investment in the Commonwealth. The committee reviewed this data, the studies from here and other states. They heard testimony. They heard from experts on expanding pre-K, like Gina Ross, Republican representative from Alabama, who launched their program, who said that pre-K and preschool is not a partisan issue. After reviewing all this information, the committee and the committee staff worked together to produce, review, and approve the report that the governor mentioned and provide it to him. That report contained the committee's findings and recommendations. Today, we have Dr. Felicia Cummings-Smith, board chair of the Pritchard Committee for Academic Excellence and a member of the committee, who will share the findings in that report, followed by Dr. Carrie Ballinger, superintendent of Rockcastle County Schools and a member of our committee, who will share our recommendations. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Governor, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Smith. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sam. First, I want to thank the governor for the incredible opportunity to serve on the Pre-K for All Advisory Committee. This has been a great opportunity to work with leaders in education, business, government, and workforce to learn from Kentuckians, review the data, look at what other states have done, and bring policy recommendations to the governor that we believe will better Kentucky. As the board chair of the Pritchard Committee for Academic Excellence and a longtime educator in the Commonwealth, I've worked for positive educational outcomes and sound education policy in the Commonwealth for a long time. I am pleased to say that my experience on this committee has shown the incredible amount of work that can be done by a dedicated group of Kentuckians with a common purpose. As Governor Beshear mentioned earlier, the mandate for this committee was to hear from Kentuckians, look at the data, and make findings and recommendations. As a member of this committee, and after months of work, I am pleased to share our findings with the public today. After reviewing the data, our committee made the following 5 findings, which you will also be able to find in the report. Number 1, Kentucky's early care system is fragmented. Kentucky delivers early care and education through a patchwork approach of programs with inconsistent eligibility rules, funding sources, affordability, and access, creating gaps that affect families all across the state. Number 2, Kentucky's existing system is inadequate. Child care is often unaffordable and inaccessible. Not all kids get to attend, parents are forced out of the workforce, and unfortunately, half of our children are unprepared for kindergarten. Number 3, pre-K for all is achievable. Several states have successfully expanded access to preschool for all 4-year-olds, proving that pre-K for all is not only possible, but already working. If those states can do it, so can Kentucky. Number 4, successful pre-K for all programs focus on quality. Successful programs like in Alabama and Oklahoma focus on quality, offer flexible mixed delivery of services, and use strong data systems. And number 5, pre-K for all pays off for all kids, families, and communities. We have seen the data. Pre-K boosts kindergarten readiness, strengthens long-term academic success, lowers child care costs, and delivers strong economic returns to communities through increased wages, a strong workforce, economic prosperity, and reduction of indirect public service costs in ER visits, grade retention, drug abuse, and crime. We believe that these findings can provide us not only a clear view of the challenges we face, but a direction and a path forward. As based on these findings, this committee has issued recommendations charting a path forward for the governor, the General Assembly, and all Kentuckians. With that, I want to thank the governor and Team Kentucky for all their work on this vital initiative. And I will turn it over now to Dr. Carrie Ballinger, Superintendent of Rockcastle County Schools, who will share the recommendations with the public.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Like you, it has been an absolute honor for me to serve on this committee. As the superintendent of Rockcastle County Schools, I know how education positively impacts the lives of our people. I see it every single day. Getting kids a stronger start is crucial to their development and to their long-term academic success. I want to thank Governor Beshear for the opportunity to be here today. I want to thank the members of our committee, the Pre-K for All staff and advisors, and all of Team Kentucky for its support for the work that our committee has done these last several months. And today, I'm pleased to be able to share the recommendations this committee has made to the governor. Number 1, Kentucky should expand its existing voluntary state-funded public preschool program. The need is urgent. Right now, we are failing our kids. Tens of thousands of Kentucky 4-year-olds are not enrolled in any public or private program before kindergarten. Kids that do not attend pre-K are significantly less ready than those who have access to preschool. Today, 52% of our kindergartners are arriving to school unprepared, and I will add in Rockcastle County, that is 60%. And only 47 of our third graders are proficient in reading. Research consistently shows that pre-K helps children prepare for school, helps working families and caregivers, and provides long-term economic benefits for communities. Kentucky's expansion should occur responsibly in phases over several years. That is recommendation number 2. Phased growth is smart growth. States like Alabama, West Virginia, and Oklahoma show that pre-K expansion is successful and sustainable when it happens over time. Kentucky has already expanded pre-K on 2 previous occasions. Expanding in a phased, responsible way over several years will ensure more kids have access, more parents can return to work, while providing school districts the flexibility to expand when they are truly ready. Number 3, expansion should ensure local flexibility on when and how expansion will occur, with decisions being made at the local level with support from KDE. No 2 school districts or communities are the same. Preschool expansion should be responsive to local community needs, and school districts should have the flexibility to expand when they are ready. School districts should maintain control of preschool expansion within their community and should be given the flexibility to make decisions when the time is right. Number 4, Kentucky should provide services through mixed, integrated school district-led partnerships with Head Start, private regulated childcare, and community-based providers. Kentucky's early childhood education system is fragmented in terms of regulation, alignment, and availability. Using our existing infrastructure, ensuring full utilization of federal funds to deliver pre-K will better unify our system, increase capacity, and use our state and federal dollars most effectively. Number 5, expansion should prioritize quality. Quality is extremely important, and our Kentucky students deserve nothing but the very best. States like Alabama show that uniform quality standards lead to continuous improvement, strong data collection, and accountability monitoring for all provider types ensures high quality. Number 6, Kentucky should build regulatory flexibility into the program. Kentucky can help districts and providers become expansion ready by allowing more options for meeting the regulatory requirements. The General Assembly should authorize the Kentucky Department of Education to establish administrative regulations with the focus on district local flexibilities for things like facilities, transportation, and educator requirements. This flexibility should include application-based waivers for specific regulatory requirements. Number 7, Kentucky should track success through a unified data collection system. Taxpayers deserve to know that their dollars are making a difference. Kentuckians deserve transparent, responsive, effective, and accountable pre-K. Right now, there are data gaps. Kentucky should invest in a single, coordinated data system that tracks enrollment, that tracks quality, and tracks outcomes across all pre-K providers, while maintaining the privacy of families and children. This will help to monitor progress, guide continuous improvement, and inform decision-making, and will tell families, educators, policymakers, and the General Assembly what is working and what resources are needed. Again, I want to reiterate how proud I am to be a part of this effort, and I want to commend the governor, the committee, our local leaders, and our legislators for how they have come together to work on this incredibly important issue. The committee looks forward to seeing the governor and the legislature work together to expand pre-K access in Kentucky in accordance with these recommendations. Thank you, Governor.
And now I believe the Lieutenant Governor is going to join us and say a couple words on pre-K based on these reports, this report and the recommendations.
All right, thank you all. It is clear that Kentucky needs pre-K for all. It will expand access to child care and learning. It will give parents and caregivers options and help them to save money. It'll create jobs and boost our workforce. And we're getting right to work to get this done for Kentucky, for our families, our businesses, and for our future. Pre-K for all isn't political. It's just the right thing to do for Kentucky. All right, next up, I am happy to share that the Team Kentucky Internship Program is now accepting applications for next summer. This is an exciting paid internship program for college students interested in public service. Internship positions are open across the executive branch, which means there are more opportunities for all areas of interest. Another exciting part about this program is that interns are eligible to receive interview preference for future employment in the executive branch. This is a huge benefit for our Kentucky students to get ready to answer the call and become public servants. Last year, we had over 1,000 applications for 51 internship positions. So it's a very competitive program, and that's encouraging. It shows that the next generation sees the value in a career in public service, and they are ready to help their neighbors. You can visit teamkyintern.ky.gov to learn more and to apply to be part of next summer's Team Kentucky Internship Program, and applications close on December 31st. Governor, back to you.
I thought the Lieutenant Governor was going to sing that last part. Ready to help their neighbors. I just mentioned very quickly on Pre-K for All, I've gotten to spend a little bit of time talking with kindergarten teachers. One kindergarten teacher talked about how this year she had 5 separate students that weren't potty trained, and how you're supposed to go about teaching what you teach in kindergarten if that's the case. Another said she had numerous students that didn't know their colors yet. Now, these are students that are already so far behind, some of them might not catch up, and we can do something about it. We can lift every single Kentucky child up. That's why Pre-K for all 4-year-olds is so important. Next, we have some good news about mental health care in Kentucky. You've heard me say it time and time again, health care is a basic human right, and mental health care is just as important as physical health care. Since I've taken office, I've made it a goal to prioritize mental health care in the Commonwealth, which is why I'm glad to share some good news. Since 2019, the number of mental health professionals licensed in Kentucky has now nearly doubled. In 2019, the Commonwealth had just over 10,000 licensed mental health professionals, and now we have nearly 20,000. That's twice the amount of professionals ready to help. That means more Kentuckians can get the care that they need. Each of Kentucky's 9 mental health licensing boards has seen a growth in the last 6 years. This is just the latest update on what Team Kentucky has done to address mental health care. We launched the 988 Mental Health Crisis Lifeline, where calls and texts are answered locally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where there is always someone on the other end of the line trained and ready to help you. We launched FindHelpNowKY.org to connect Kentuckians to mental health providers and addiction treatment. I've signed legislation expanding access to mental health care through telehealth. We've allocated millions of dollars towards expanding school-based mental health resources. And we've been working hard to tackle the addiction crisis as a result. We've seen drug overdose deaths go down 3 straight years in Kentucky, thank God. Remember, it's okay to not be okay. Sometimes we go through trauma, our bodies and our minds just aren't trained or ready or able to fully handle. That's why you've got nearly 20,000 licensed mental health professionals that are out there, that are waiting for your call. It is not a weakness to pick up that phone. It is just pure courage. Remember, in your darkest times, there are a lot of people out there that love you, that want you to get that help you need. And here in Kentucky, we're going to make sure that it's always available for you when you need it. Okay, tomorrow is Halloween, and we are all, you can tell it's Halloween. We're all looking forward to lots of fun, but let's remember to stay safe. For motorists, please stay alert for pedestrian traffic. Be patient and slow down. Children and families will be in costume in our neighborhoods, so take a lot of extra care when driving, and if you can, just stay off the roads entirely while the kids are trick-or-treating. Parents, we encourage you to give your children flashlights or glow sticks. If you're driving, make sure your kids exit the vehicle on the curbside of the road. Inspect candy before you let your children eat it, and teach your kids how to dial 911 in case of an emergency. Homeowners, please turn your porch lights on and clean your walkways and your porches. And finally, to our trick-or-treaters, only visit houses that have the porch lights on. Never enter a stranger's home or vehicle. Stay on the sidewalk. Look both ways before you cross the street, and always listen to a trusted adult. The Kentucky Department for Public Health is also sharing some health tips as we get ready for tomorrow. Eat a good meal before heading out. This will give you energy for trick-or-treating. Make sure costumes fit well. That's one that you can see, breathe, and move normally. Wash your hands after trick-or-treating and before eating candy. More than anything else, we want our kids and families to be safe this Halloween. Parents, keep an eye on your kids, and kids, please listen to your parents, at least for this one night. There are some great activities being hosted by Team Kentucky in Frankfort tomorrow. From 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow night, the Kentucky State Police is hosting its annual Safe Trick-or-Treat at its headquarters on Versailles Road. And from 5 to 6:30 p.m., the Kentucky Historical Society is hosting a trick-or-treat at the old state capitol downtown. Brittany, Winnie, and I hope each of you have a safe, fun Halloween. We'll get pictures out of Winnie. She's going to be a bumblebee this year. We're calling her, there it is. We're calling her Bumble Winnie. And while we'll miss everyone at the mansion this year, we're putting your safety first. We have an enormous construction project going on at the Capitol. We have large, deep trenches very close to the governor's mansion. The lights currently aren't functioning around the Capitol. There's no sidewalk right in front of the mansion. And to me, while this is one of my favorite days of the year, and I love seeing all these kids, thousands in the last years, it's not worth it if one child gets hurt. So everybody out there, please be safe this Halloween, and we'll find a way to be back next Halloween. All right, finally, due to the federal government shutdown, on Sunday, November 1st, SNAP benefits will be suspended, leaving more than 40 million Americans and almost 600,000 Kentuckians, many of them children, without that food assistance. My faith teaches me that food is life-giving and it is meant to be shared. From the miracle of the fishes and the loaves to the Last Supper, we're called on to feed and care for each other, and what the Trump administration is doing with SNAP benefits is wrong. Let me be clear. The Trump administration can fund SNAP. They can make that decision. It has been done in past shutdowns, and the money is there. Moreover, if this president thinks he can do a $40 billion bailout of Argentina during a government shutdown, certainly he can fund SNAP for a lot less. No Kentucky family should have to choose between putting food on the table and paying their rent. That's why in June I wrote a letter to our congressional delegation urging them to oppose any steps that would undermine SNAP benefits. And yesterday I joined 24 other states and D.C. in a lawsuit to force this administration to pay those benefits and prevent the hunger that will otherwise be caused. I believe that there is a hearing today. We hope that a judge will side with us and ensure that so many Americans have enough to eat. As a state, we're doing what we can to help cover support for our Kentucky families. We've found $9.1 million to help with senior meals that are going to help during this time and going forward. We've made plans to use over $12 million to help the TANF program, which serve a lot of these same families to prevent a double hit on struggling families. However, when it comes to SNAP, the Trump administration right now is prohibiting two things. Number one, prohibiting the federal government from paying dollars into the SNAP program to get them out on people's EBT cards like have been done in past government shutdowns. And number two, the USDA sent a letter to governors that say that they are prohibited from using that SNAP apparatus, that SNAP platform, and funding it through state funds. The federal government is saying we are not allowed to do that. So we are watching very closely what this hearing is going to do, and if the federal government isn't forced to or willing to do its job by Saturday, we're looking at a number of different options and could have more news closer to that day. I know this is a scary and stressful time for many of our families, and we're committed to processing SNAP benefits the moment that we're allowed to the moment the federal funding comes. But we're also committed to doing what we can in the meantime to help. Remember, there are two interpretations of the miracle of the fishes and the loaves. One is that the miracle was that Jesus simply multiplied the food. The other way to think about that miracle is it was a miracle of sharing. That Jesus was able to teach and inspire everyone to share what little they had, and what they found is when everybody was willing to share with their neighbor, there was enough for everyone. So today I'm announcing that Team Kentucky will be hosting a food drive to help our fellow Kentuckians. Beginning today, boxes will be placed in the lobby of all major office buildings in Frankfort, as well as the L&N building in Louisville to collect non-perishable food for those in need. Donations will go to established charities like Dare to Care, God's Pantry, and Christian Appalachian Project for distribution to Kentuckians in need. And we're going to be really intentional about making sure that these donations reach needy families across the state. I'm really proud to work alongside so many incredible Team Kentucky members that care so much about our state and the families that make up our state, something Team Kentucky has always made a priority. I know every donation will make a difference, and I appreciate everyone who takes part in this or any other food drive. And that leads me to this week's Team Kentucky All-Stars. Here in Kentucky, we take care of our neighbors and we lift them up. And that's what our food pantries do regularly, and that's what they're preparing to do right now. The responsibility today is even bigger. So I'm naming each of the Commonwealth's food pantries, their volunteers, and their donors as this week's Team Kentucky All-Stars. If you feel the need, and I hope you do, if you feel compelled to help people in such a scary time, be a donor to one of these food pantries. That makes you a Team Kentucky All-Star. That means that you are living your faith and values. And just think about that thing you might not need, about that extra dollar that you might have, and the difference it could make in someone's life during this next week. These heroes are fighting hunger, and they're helping Kentuckians live healthier, fuller lives. I'm grateful to each and every one. Visit feedingky.org or your local food pantry to learn how you can help. All right, with that, we'll open it up to questions. 2 journalists with us here in studio and 6 on the line. We'll start with Carolina from WLEX.
Governor, at a recent interim health committee hearing, some lawmakers voiced concern to the medical cannabis office about some of the approved medical cannabis products that will be for sale in Kentucky, specifically the colorful gummies. They're concerned that it looks too much like candy and kids will get into it, and they're citing some increases in kids actually ingesting them and obviously getting sick. So have you heard about any of these concerns, and would Kentucky be willing to change those regulations to make those products look more like medicine?
We have always been committed to a safe and medical marijuana program. It needs to make sure that this product is only going to those who receive a certification from a medical professional, and we don't want any of it falling in kids' hands. These specific concerns haven't been raised to me, but that doesn't mean we can't take a look at them. And thankfully, we have a flexible program with inspectors, with a good organized group where we've learned from other states to where we have our enforcement mechanisms in place now. Before the first dispensary is even operating. And so we can take a look at packaging. We can take a look at those concerns. We can hear out what they are, and if need be, we can take action. But I hope throughout this entire process, if new concerns arise, that we can be flexible in how we respond. Samantha with WKYT.
Governor, you mentioned the food banks. As we wait to see what happens with SNAP, we're seeing Kentuckians step up in various ways, whether that's donating or businesses saying they're going to eat the cost so they can still help people who rely on SNAP. And this is a two-part question, so I'm sorry.
Sure.
What do you say to those who are helping and also those who are scared? And we do have some news out of Baltimore still waiting for a ruling to come down. That should come today. But it does sound like the judge is leaning in favor of the plaintiffs. She didn't challenge the Trump administration's argument that
That's great.
pausing funding, is the best option. She says it makes no sense to just continue to fund the program. Does that give you hope?
It does give me hope. We are one of those plaintiffs. It's not me. The Commonwealth of Kentucky is part of the lawsuit against the Trump administration, meaning if we win even in this first hearing, we would be one of the states that would receive those dollars. I really hope a judge will rule in this way. One of the things that you think about when making one of these rulings is what preserves the status quo. That's certainly people getting their benefits, and also where is irreparable harm. And I'd like to think that people going hungry is irreparable harm to our people. To everybody helping out, God bless you. We need you. In many ways, it reminds me of early in the pandemic when we thought there would be a run on different things in the store. When there was a limited amount of supplies, everybody came together and nobody went without. So to everybody who's doing it right, thank you. To everybody else, think about how you can help your neighbor during this time. Think about what it means to help somebody through a time when they're scared. And to folks who are scared, Kentucky steps up time and time again. In difficult times, we push out the R and the D, the divisions, and we just see each other as human beings and children of God. And I know that's what Kentuckians will do at this time. And we are still looking at other options that the state could take to help during a very scary and tough period for so many families. Tom from Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Governor. I have a question that's a little off the wall, and that is there any news on this Kentucky State Police investigation into the email and telephone threats that went to the parole board following the Ronald Exantis case?
I don't have updates that I can share, but I know there is an ongoing investigation that I think we may see some results from. Early misreporting first online, unfortunately picked up in some other outlets where that the Kentucky Parole Board had paroled Ronald Exantis. They never did that. They voted against it. He was released instead under a state statute and for different credits that someone can earn in prison. Certainly at that release, there wasn't any discretion. Yet, when someone with a large following online put out misinformation and the White House picked it up, we had parole board members receive death threats, receive some of the most vile and racist voicemail messages and email. There is never an excuse to threaten the life of someone else, and we will pursue each and all of those threats, and anywhere that we can take an action that shows that political violence and threatened political violence is never okay, we'll want to set that example. Lisa Autry, WKU Public Radio.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for taking my question. You've sort of already hit on this, but with the impending loss of SNAP benefits, some states are moving to bridge that gap with support of food banks and individuals using emergency funds. Some Kentucky lawmakers have begun talking about a special session. Is that something that you would support? Is it something we can do?
We're looking at our options right now, and I think a number of options are on the table. I'm not sure a special session would be necessary. Just what we can't do, though, is we can't use the existing platform of SNAP and simply put state dollars through it. We've got some very clear instruction from the federal government that that is not allowed. And so what that means is any additional help that we may be able to provide certainly isn't going to be perfect and certainly won't make up for this full hit. I mean, the way it happens right now is folks who need the extra help get the dollars on their EBT cards and know where they can go and where it's accepted, and that's how they're ultimately able to buy their groceries. So any other way to help, the way that many other states are looking at helping, is going to be a little more challenging, may rely more on our food banks. But in Kentucky, we got some really incredible food banks that are out there. We got a really good system where the larger ones are connected with the smaller ones. Feeding Kentucky does a great job. And so whether it's the state providing extra help there or just the citizens of our state, it goes a long way. But we're going to wait to hear about today's hearing. And we're going to look, again, as we get closer to Saturday, hopefully the pressure amps up in Washington, D.C. for people to do the right thing. And it's not an either or, it's a both. D.C. has to act right now to make sure health care premiums don't go up significantly, because that will push more people to needing food assistance if their health care costs thousands of dollars more every year. And then they should also fund the SNAP program, which is so important. You know, I don't think somebody that's going hungry cares about a D or an R behind their name or ours. It's just our obligation to be there for them. Karen Czar, WUKY. We'll come back. McKenna Horsley from Kentucky Lantern.
Thank you, Governor. This is also about SNAP, but is there a way for you to declare a state of emergency that would free up state funds that could be used for SNAP, like Virginia's governor is doing or trying to do?
Yeah, we're looking at all of our different options. What I will say is the amount available, if that is an option, is less than the total need, at least for this next month. And again, any option could provide help, but won't be at the level of what would be lost if the federal government doesn't do its job. And so I'm trying to be clear that we want to help in any way we can, and we're looking at all those options. But the federal government needs to step up. Otherwise, we lose about $100 million in food assistance to our people, affecting about 600,000 Kentuckians. So we shouldn't lessen the pressure whatsoever on Washington, D.C., but at the same time, make plans to help our families if they are forced to struggle, because those in D.C. won't do their job in making sure that health care premiums don't go up and making sure this program is funded. But let me go back to, it doesn't take an act of Congress. In past shutdowns, SNAP has been funded. There is a contingency account that's out there. The USDA, up until a couple weeks ago, said on its website that you could use that account in a shutdown. All Donald Trump has to do is say, I don't want people to go hungry, authorize the SNAP payments to go out, and our people will be okay. Either he will make the choice for folks to get full benefits, or it'll be his decision that causes significant hunger. And finally, Ian Hardwood from WHAS.
Thank you very much, Governor. My question's also about Ronald DeSantis today. Several Kentucky lawmakers yesterday signed a letter asking for the parole board to vote, like they have time and again, to keep him imprisoned. Do you have any specific requests to the parole board as far as this goes?
Yeah, Ronald DeSantis is being held at the Kentucky State Reformatory at the moment. The Kentucky Online Offender Lookup will be automatically updated within 24 hours to reflect that. Should he choose a hearing and not waive his right to one, the final revocation hearing will be performed by an administrative law judge. There'll be a public notice that'll be sent out if that is scheduled. Following that step, the parole board would conduct a file review, and the decision in writing will be public, but I would push the parole board, though I don't get involved in specific cases, to do what it's always done. I appreciate the way the question was framed, and vote to have him serve his sentence. Remember, his sentence is a result of what he was actually convicted of, not the act that he may have committed, but what he was actually convicted of. And then the different statutes that apply for how much someone serves and potentially what types of credit that they can get. But I understand the letter that lawmakers sent. I understand their concern and respect it. I understand other legislators that have said, maybe we should look at this law again, and I'm willing to do so with them. I hope everybody is coming from the right place, which is public safety, but needing to make sure that all the information gets out and that we don't have a 1 or a 2-line tweet that leads to misinformation that has people who did the right thing getting death threats. All right, everybody have a great Halloween. Be safe in your neighborhood. Be good to each other. We'll see you.